So you're just in the neighborhood, figured you'd pop in? That's great.
Something like that.
That's awesome.
Something like that.
Well, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
Appreciate it.
First, we might have had you on draft after the draft. Were you ever?
It's
in
been
here
a
before?
minute. It's been a minute.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think his parents are fans of the show.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they are.
Oh, yeah.
They are.
I think
Yeah,
we
yeah.
saw them
I
at
don't
one
know
of
if
the
that's a good
training
thing or a
camps.
bad thing.
So, Marcus, Mike, Evan, you know these guys.
For sure.
I'm Fred. You've had a busy off season, and you just got back from Germany, right?
Oh yeah.
How
yeah.
was that?
It was great. Spent some time with everyone over there. Started to realize how many fans that we have over there, which is crazy. Ended up doing that. I was happy to end up seeing just flag football grow as a whole. Seeing the youth, men and women, playing the same sport is great to see and everything. And then also got to do a little bit of the music side over there and everything like that too.
Yeah, you met with the kids,
Yeah.
like their version of the YMCA.
For sure.
And you made some music with them.
Mm-hmm.
That was really cool.
It was crazy just off the fact of seeing how, they basically make music. A lot of people end up saying, oh, is it different over there? I mean, first thing is the language, of course.
Yeah.
That's a different thing. But other than that, it's the same thing whenever it comes down to genres of music, for sure.
Absolutely. And you met one fan. I saw on one of our social media accounts, you actually had a one-on-one with a fan, young kid.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great. Just off the fact of just, meeting him and talking about, he was telling me the PlayStations and everything that he has. He's still playing the Nintendo.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, no, that's crazy. You say that to certain people, they think it's the DS. He was like, no, the normal, yeah. I'm like, you could barely see that, you know what I mean? But he says he played Madden on there and everything and just, was chopping it up with him and just building a relationship with him for sure.
Well, I got to ask you, Marcus, because this year we had New Year's resolutions, and mine was I was going to get serious about my music.
Okay.
Which I'm kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I do play a little piano, a little guitar. But I'm just, when did you fall in love with music and becoming so, it's such a part of you, who you are. It's a huge part of it. Where did that come from? What was the origin of it?
I was just kind of around it. My dad had turntables and everything, so he had like a little mic booth. So I'll see some of his friends just recording, just making music just off the playing around as a hobby, and then he had MPCs. So as time went on, I was around it 24/7, and then eventually around, I want to say like high school, one of my real good friends, Darius Kears, he was like, bro, I'm gonna start producing. And I was like, I know a little bit about that because my dad used to do it. So as time went on, I purchased like Logic, which is a DAW interface. I mean a DAW, but basically a program to where I ended up just learning how to end up making beats. And eventually I was like, man, I gotta start recording myself because people don't want to listen to instrumentals 24/7. You know what I mean? So I was like, I gotta learn how to record myself. So then I ended up doing that, finding my sound, and just kind of going from there.
I like the house music, so I like it.
Yeah, no,
but
house
get
music,
the German house music going there.
But it's not just music. I saw you doing color grading on
yeah.
video.
That's
You're
my
into
thing.
that.
Yeah,
That's awesome. That's an awesome skill to have.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand how much it takes just off the fact of making movies or just making films in general. So I really connected with one of my real good friends. His name is Stefan. He's the owner of Company 3. People that know, they'll know. But he started in '98, and he's a colorist. So whenever I ended up getting into just content in general, my girlfriend was like, baby, you should start doing content. I was like, I'll think about it. But I love storytelling. And when it comes down to it, it's just not off the fact of just posting. It's about, just being more personable and letting people know, that it's an art. So as time went on, I purchased a camera, a Sony FX3, and then kind of went from there of like, oh, okay, it looks really good. But people started talking about log. And I was like, what is log? And it's, the closest thing to black and white. So it's a flat footage, and basically you go in and you color it. So everything that we see on TV, movies, and everything like that, it looks really good. And whenever we see it in person, it's like, dang, it looked really good on TV, but it don't look as good as it,
right.
as it does in person. But just getting into that, and I got a whole like setup and everything, and basically just playing around with that, but trying to get real good at it for sure.
So when do you have time for football?
Oh yeah, I always make time for that.
But you like to tell stories. What's the story of this offseason so far in terms of coming back here to Gillette? What do you have to tell us about that?
Oh yeah, man, I'm happy to be back. Just off the fact of seeing everyone, sharing the stories of everyone's off season, building connections with new guys in the building.
Yeah,
that's the main thing. And then also, the new coaching staff. Those guys, they're down to help us out when it comes down to learning and taking it step by step. we're not looking too far into the future, of course, but taking it one day at a time, and I like where we're going for sure.
First impressions of Coach Vrabel?
It's one of those situations to where he brings energy.
Yeah.
You know, he means what he means, and he shows the love and compassion with it. So love that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just how are you feeling physically coming off of last season, and kind of where are you at with that?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling real good just off the fact of conditioning. It's still early in the process of us, but as during the offseason, I was still working out, doing all those things and everything. So feeling good about that. And like I said, not even 2 weeks in yet, but just stacking the days for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this time just about getting the body ready, starting to lay the foundation
For sure.
for what you're going to get into?
Yeah,
in the
it's
season,
like
so.
I said, it's so early. You know, we're not looking too far, but it's great to get back in the building, you know, get back to working out, having some structure and everything, and then also, you know, learning the installs is very important.
Are you paying any attention to the draft, or are you one of those guys like, just tell me who we pick and I'll pay attention afterwards?
What's crazy about the draft is, like, when you're in it and you've been a part of it before, it's just like, hey, whoever ends up coming, we're welcoming. Like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we're happy for whoever ends up being a part of the team. And at the end of the day, I mean, it's above our pay grade. We don't get to choose at all. So it's like, why even stress about that? But, you know, whoever they end up picking, you know, we know that they're doing it from the sense of helping our team, you know, end up building. So we're happy with whoever they end up choosing for sure.
Yeah.
I left him off my big board. Me and Evan, we were draft nerds. We get way into
that
it.
was on you.
I've done like 15 years. Like, here are my 50 favorite guys, and then they picked you, and I'm like, how the hell did I miss Marcus Jones? And I'll put him on.
question. I mean,
I know you
no
got him right.
offense,
You had
but-
him. You had him on, but not me. So I'm still living that one down. But what are you gonna do?
You're one of those guys, though, coming out of the draft. You know, this time of year we talk a lot about measurables and all that kind of stuff, and that has always been something that stood out to me. Is that, you know, that never mattered for you, right? You always
Yeah.
played bigger than your size and all that kind of stuff. Like, how, I don't want to say overrated, but just like how much does that really matter once you get into the league? You know, and you kind of carve out a role for yourself and figure it out, just how to play within yourself, even if you are, you know, not considered this time of year like the ideal measurables.
Yeah, I would say the main thing whenever, you know, coaches end up, you know, watching stuff is usually they watch film. You know, everyone has, you know, weaknesses. You know, my weakness would be, you know, so-called height. However, you know, I make up for it in the sense of speed. So it could be also, you know, guys that's big. You know, they would be big, but they're not as quick. You know, but if you have all of it, then that's great too. But it's just one of those situations of knowing your weaknesses. You know, in a professional level, everyone's good at something. You know what I mean? But one thing that you can't teach is, you know, effort and finish. You know, which, you know, if you do that most of the time, good things will come your way. So that's one of those things to where I just keep my mind on that, you know, knowing, you know, where I am on the field, who I'm going against, knowing how they like to end up, you know, doing their releases or whatever. You know, studying film is a lot of it too. So kind of going from there and just making sure, you know, you're prepared at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, we're inducting a old coach into the Patriots Hall of Fame this year, Bill Parcells. You might have heard of him.
Yeah.
And one of the things he always says is players need to know who they are.
Yeah.
You know, so they can play within themselves and they can be the best of who they are
Yeah,
instead
true.
of trying to be who they aren't. You know.
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
I think
No,
one
I
thing that
appreciate
stuck
it.
out to me just with you is how sticky you are in man coverage, and how do you develop that? And as you've gotten into the pros, how do you have to continue to learn to be able to stick with NFL elite wide receivers?
Yeah, when it came down to it in college, man, I had a whole bunch of coaches that just talked about eye discipline a lot. And one thing that, you know, what drove me crazy was, like, if I end up guarding a receiver and he catch the ball and I've seen him catch the ball, then it just doesn't sit right with me. Because usually, you know, if you end up getting beat on a route, which is going to happen, but when you get beat on a route and you watch the quarterback throw it, it's like, oh, man. But, you know, it's a little bit better from the sense of whenever you do get out of a break and you're still watching a receiver and then the ball comes, you react or knock the ball down. You know, those split-second decisions and everything make a big impact, you know, from the sense of a window being open for a quarterback and not being open. So that's my main thing. Make sure my eyes is in the right place. And then, you know, if you do have your eyes in the right place, you know, those interceptions and no PBUs and everything like that can happen for sure.
It's like one false step in this league. I mean,
Yeah,
that's all
like
it comes
it's
down to, right?
milliseconds when it comes down to it.
Crazy.
Yeah.
When it comes to Coach Vrabel and this defense, you know, what do you do to prepare to get ready for training camps with the install and with the system and things like that, so you can kind of hit the ground running?
Yeah, this time and this phase of just the off season is basically, learning the small things, learning basically the philosophy of us as a team and then also as a defense. So that's the main thing that we're going with. And then also, we're early in the install, kind of going from there. And then, we'll get into phase 2 and phase 3, then getting onto the field. But just the classroom portion, that's the main thing that we're working on right now. And then as time goes on and everything like that, we'll repeat certain things. All right, we need to go over this again and kind of go from there. But it's classroom right now, and then, you got to be able to do all of it. Classroom, apply it to the field, walkthroughs, and then get to, full speed. So it's process for sure. Yeah, it's
Stack 'em
process.
up.
It don't just happen just like that. It takes time for sure.
Do they show you like Titans tape? Like what do they kind of show you in terms of film, like to watch? They say, we use a specific guy in Tennessee that we think will use you similarly, like how did that process work?
I'm not really going to say that. It's like we watch film just in general because at the end of the day, like, our coaches have been in different places, you know what I mean? So it's not really to where we're just looking at one team, and then it comes down to the situation of us, we've ran certain things as well. So it's all 32 teams, honestly,
Well, listen, we could talk to you all day. I know you got other things to do. We appreciate you stopping by. And, you got the music, you got your you're a colorist, you're doing all that stuff. If you want to do a podcast, this is the place.
Okay, for sure. No, I
He's the guy
appreciate
to
you
talk
guys.
to you about all of this.
Okay, for sure.
We'll do the Marcus Jones podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever you're ready.
Definitely make that happen for
All
sure. I
right.
appreciate you
All
guys
right.
so
Well,
much.
thank you for coming in.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.